Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. In today's video, I actually want to talk about and just honestly rant about decision fatigue in pregnancy. That's actually a video I wanted to film for my main channel that kind of focuses on motherhood in my first pregnancy 2 years ago. And now that I'm pregnant again with baby number 2, I decided now's the time. And at first I was going to post it on that channel, but since it's more like, I don't know, a little bit commentary, I thought it would be like a good intro video for me to do on this channel. It's not like a super scripted one, which most of the other videos will be, but it's still kind of a discussion and something I would like to share. I don't know. So yeah, this is just basically me sharing my thoughts and kind of complaining about a phenomenon that every single pregnant woman probably deals with at one point or another and to some level. So decision fatigue is kind of where like you have so many choices and so many options and or so many decisions to make that you become very overwhelmed and fatigued by it. And yeah, another similar thing I would say is like when you're either buying a house or even more like when you're building your own house. Like I saw my brother-in-law have to build his own house, and like making all the tiny little decisions like what kind of trims do we want, what kind of color, what kind of tile, what kind of this. It just never ends. And pregnancy is just like that. Well, not pregnancy itself, but when you're pregnant and you're having a baby, you have so many decisions to make on everything you're gonna buy and all the things, the parenting things you're gonna do and all those things, and it gets very overwhelming. So first, I think a lot of you are probably just like me and want to do research on what to get and the best things to get, and even do some kind of matrix on Excel or Google Sheets to like compare all the different options for everything, right? Like strollers, car seats, cribs, whatever, right? You'll watch like 5 million videos on like baby essentials, newborn essentials, reviews on like different specific products, and like read blog posts about those things too. Like it just doesn't end, and you can go down the rabbit hole and spend your entire pregnancy just consuming that kind of stuff and still have no idea what to get. And that's on top of like the sheer amount of baby products that are available out there. Like when you walk into a store like Bye Bye Baby or whatever, there's just so much stuff, so many things. And you know, online it's even worse. There's even more options and even more things. Like that could drive anyone insane. So I think it's important to know that pretty much everything that is being sold is safe enough for your baby. At least in countries like the United States and Canada, and I'm assuming Europe as well. Like there are standards. The governments are regulating baby products pretty heavily. So if something is being sold, it's usually because it's safe enough for your baby. And of course that doesn't mean your baby is actually gonna like it, because that's a whole other thing, right? Like sometimes baby like specific things and other things. You'll hear moms online share their experiences where like my baby loved the Mamaroo or hated it, or loved the swing or that bouncer or that crib or that freaking that kind of swaddle or that kind of swaddle or whatever. Like there's just so many things, and every baby is different, and even from one child that you have to the other, they might not even like the same thing. So it's not even like you can reuse everything. You'll try, but you may not even be able to. So yeah, even with the best recommendations out there, like your baby might not like it, or it might just not fit your family and your life, because everyone has different needs as well. Like the kind of setup you have will vary heavily depending on where you live and how you live and the kind of support you have. And so yeah, like there's just a lot of layers to this, and there's really no one size fits all and here's a list of everything you need to get and it will work 100%. Like there's just so many decisions to make and so many things to try. And yeah, one little note I would say is that if you don't know if you will need something or want something, like a specific swing, or I don't know, like a pack and play, or an activity center of some sort, right? Then I would suggest holding off. You don't have to buy it before the baby gets here. Wait until the baby gets here and then see if you find a need for it. And if you do, then consider either borrowing it from a friend or family member if you can, or buying it secondhand on like a place like Marketplace or a thrift store or something to try it out, because you don't want to spend so much money on something you're uncertain about, if that makes sense. Like there are things that you know you will need some version of, so obviously you can spend the money on those things, but there's a lot of things you don't even know if you're gonna use, so try to save money on those things if you can. I think that's pretty much all I want to say about baby products, but there's a whole other thing that creates a lot of decision fatigue in pregnancy and for new parents, and that's like parenting decisions. And obviously, you don't need to figure everything out before the baby gets here, or even in the first year of the life of the baby. You don't need to know what you're gonna do when your teenager comes home drunk in the middle of the night just yet. That's years down the road. You know, you don't even know what the drinking culture is gonna be like. But what you do kind of have to figure out earlier on is things like the kind of birth you want to prepare for. Whether you want to have an unmedicated birth, some kind of epidural or induction might have to happen, or a C-section or whatever. You need to figure all those things out, and I won't go into too much details about them, but there's so much to consider, and I highly recommend preparing for different scenarios, because as much as you want a certain type of birth, that may not always be what does happen in the end, so you should be prepared for contingencies and alternatives. For most of the other things, I feel like sometimes it may feel like a no-brainer. Like some of them won't really be questions. Like you already know what you want to do and you don't have to research it, and you don't have to make a decision because it's kind of already made in your mind, right? But things to consider. Do you want to breastfeed? Do you want to use a pacifier? Do you want to swaddle? What kind of sleeping arrangement do you want? Do you want a crib, a bassinet, a co-sleeper, just a co-sleep in a family bed? So many options. Things that will start later. When do you want to start solids? There's different recommendations out there. I did not know this before. And what kind of foods do you want to give your baby initially? Do you want to do baby-led weaning? Do you want to do purees, or do you want to be a combination feeding of the two? You also might want to find out when to switch to a convertible car seat, especially if you're going to wait to buy that one. You need to kind of prepare your finances for these things. And the list goes on. So yeah, anyways, this isn't really like a solution-based video. I don't really have answers for you. I'm honestly just here to complain about how many decisions there are to make. One thing I will say is, now that I'm pregnant with baby number 2, a lot of those decisions are transposable. So as much as we have made different decisions for certain things, it's a lot easier and there's a lot less to buy and a few less things to decide as well in terms of parenting and all those things. So I haven't had to spend nearly as much time decision fatiguing myself this time. Anyways, the basic sentiment of this video is I feel you, it's tough, you have all the rights in the world to just be exhausted with all the decisions you have to make. The only advice I really have is to just focus on what you have to choose at each stage, and don't really get ahead of yourself if you don't need to, so you just don't have so many decisions to make at once. And share the load with your partners if you can. I know as moms, like, the burden usually falls on us to figure out everything of those things, like to decide what kind of baby things. I know my husband didn't know a single brand or company of baby things and really did not participate that much in kind of furnishing our house for a baby. But if you can, definitely rely on your partner a little bit, and also rely on the advice of trusted friends as well if you can, and even online people that you trust. Hopefully this at least helped you know that you're not alone and relate in some kind of way. If you have any questions or advice or anything, please leave them in the comments below for all the mamas to see and be able to benefit from. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye.